We're taking what's ours!
You can't stop us!
Isaiah Cole, a black farmer and former Navy SEAL, tries to live in peace. But when a white supremacist gang protected by a corrupt sheriff burns his crops and beats him nearly to death, the town's silence cuts deeper than his wounds. Determined not to break, Isaiah makes one phone call to his old SEAL squad, and as his brothers-in-arms return, the violence escalates from intimidation and midnight arson to open confrontations that expose the sheriff's grip of fear. With betrayal revealed, allies found in unlikely neighbors, and a town learning to lift its voice, Isaiah leads not just to fight for his land but for justice itself. Until the sheriff is stripped of power, the gang dismantled, and the community reborn, scars remaining, but no longer bowed, Isaiah Cole rose before the sun, boots crunching on soil still wet from the night's dew. The air carried the smell of earth, honest, grounding, unforgiving. He liked that about farming. The land didn't lie. It gave what you put into it. Nothing more, nothing less. By the time the horizon cracked with light, Isaiah was already at the tractor, rolling the sleeves of his faded shirt. His nephew Malik trailed behind him, sleepy-eyed. Double quotes, "Uncle, why you always start before daylight?" Malik mumbled. Isaiah's voice was low, steady. "The world don't wait for us, boy. We move before it does." The boy groaned, but smiled faintly. Isaiah's hand brushed his head with a rare softness. From the road, a pickup slowed. Two men leaned against the window, staring. They didn't wave. They just watched, eyes narrowed, jaws set. The truck rolled on, tires spitting dust. Malik frowned. "They always staring." Isaiah kept his face unreadable. "Eyes can't hurt you, remember that." But his jaw tightened once the boy turned away. By noon, Isaiah drove the tractor near the fence line. He noticed a figure there, Sheriff Harlan's deputy, arms folded, badge glinting. Isaiah cut the engine. "Something I can help you with, Deputy Ross." Ross smirked. "Routine inspection. Heard your irrigation lines might be off county code." Isaiah stepped down slowly. "Everything here's legal. Got my paperwork filed." Ross tilted his head. "Paperwork don't always match reality." Their silence stretched. Malik came running from the barn, holding a jug of water. He froze, seeing Ross. The deputy's gaze flicked to the boy. "Afternoon, son. You keeping out of trouble?" Isaiah's voice was firm. "Don't talk to him." Ross chuckled, not kindly. "You don't own the ground you stand on, Cole. Don't forget that." Isaiah stared him down. "I've fought for this country, bled for it. This ground's mine, as long as I keep working it." Ross tapped the fence post with 2 fingers, then walked back to his cruiser. The tires spun gravel as he left at the general store later that day. Isaiah carried a crate of feed to the counter. The clerk, an older white man, forced a tight smile. "You planning on expanding again?" he asked. Isaiah set the crate down. "Why? Folks say you've been buying more land. Makes people uneasy." Isaiah looked him in the eye. "Uneasy about what? Hard work?" The man looked away. "Just saying, people talk, from the corner to farmers, muttered loudly enough to be heard. Taking what don't belong to him, never satisfied. Are they?" Isaiah ignored them, counted out his cash, and left. Outside, Malik whispered, "Why they hate us, Uncle? You don't bother nobody." Isaiah tightened the straps on the feed bag. His voice came like gravel. "Hate don't need a reason, Malik. It just needs a target." That evening, Isaiah sat on the porch, watching the sun dip behind the fields. The cicadas screamed their chorus, but beneath it he heard something else, the weight of silence from the town, the way neighbors no longer waved, the way men slowed their trucks by his fence, the way the sheriff's men lingered too long on his land. Malik sat beside him. "You think they'll stop?" Isaiah's eyes never left the horizon. "No, they won't stop." The boy swallowed hard. "Then what we gonna do?" Isaiah's hand rested heavy on Malik's shoulder. "We stand. Same as always." The porch creaked under his boots as he rose. The fields lay dark and endless, the soil rich with history, watered with sweat. He knew the storm was coming. He could already smell it in the air, and he would meet it head. The night came heavy, thick with crickets and the far-off croak of frogs. Isaiah Cole lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the faint hum of the fan barely stirring the air. His nephew Malik slept in the next room, the soft rise and fall of his breathing the only comfort Isaiah allowed himself. Then it came, the crunch of tires on gravel. Isaiah sat up fast. Headlights cut across the window. He pulled on his boots without sound, hand brushing the bat he kept near the door. Through the slats of the blinds, he saw them, 3 trucks idling by the fence. Shadows moved across the field. The sound of glass breaking split the night. Then another, then laughter. Isaiah pushed through the door. Hey! His voice carried sharp across the fields. Figures scattered, but one man turned deliberately, lifting a can. Flames roared up on Isaiah's tractor seat. Red spray paint slashed across the barn door. Get out! Isaiah charged forward, but the trucks revved, tires tearing up dirt. One masked man threw a bottle that burst in sparks against the barn wall. Smoke curled upward, acrid and thick. From behind him, Malik's voice cracked. Uncle. Isaiah spun, furious. Get back inside, boy. Now Malik didn't move. His small hands clutched the doorframe, wide eyes reflecting the fire. The trucks screeched away, engines fading into the night, leaving only the echo of laughter. Isaiah stumped out the flames with a shovel, jaw clenched against the rage burning in his chest. His tractor's seat was charred, the barn wall blackened, spray paint dripped like blood. He finally turned to Malik, whose face was pale. You see them? Isaiah asked, voice low. The boy nodded quickly. One had a bandana. He was tall, white cap on backward. His words trembled. Isaiah pressed his lips tight. Don't repeat this to nobody but me. You hear? Malik swallowed hard. Why? Because truth don't matter to folks who already picked their side. Morning brought the sheriff's cruiser rolling up the dirt road. Sheriff Harlan stepped out slow, hat tipped back, eyes sliding over the damage with something between amusement and boredom. Deputy Ross trailed behind him. Harlan whistled. Well now, looks like you had yourself some trouble. Isaiah stood stiff, arms folded. You know damn well it wasn't just trouble. It was an attack. Ross circled the tractor, kicking at the blackened ground. Could be kids, blowing off steam. Ain't proof it's anything else. Isaiah's voice rose. They left a message. On my barn, that look like kids to you? Harlan squinted at the red letters. Vandalism's ugly, sure, but graffiti ain't exactly attempted murder. Isaiah stepped closer, fury vibrating in every muscle. My nephew was standing right there. What if the fire caught? What if? Ross interrupted, smirking. But it didn't, did it? Isaiah's fists clenched. Malik peeked from the doorway, eyes darting. Harlan's tone softened artificially. Best thing you can do, Cole, is let this lie. You stir things up, they'll only get worse. Isaiah's jaw tightened. So the law won't protect me. The sheriff adjusted his hat. Laws stretched thin, got bigger things than farm feuds. Isaiah took one slow step forward, close enough that his shadow cut across Harlan's boots. His voice dropped like gravel. This ain't no feud. This is hate. For a flicker of a second, the sheriff's smile cracked, revealing the steel beneath. Then he turned, motioning Ross back to the cruiser. As the engine faded, Isaiah stood in silence, chest heaving. Malik whispered from the porch. They're not gonna help us, are they? Isaiah didn't look back. No, they're not. Later, at the town diner, Isaiah walked in with his nephew for breakfast. Conversations hushed. The smell of bacon and coffee didn't mask the stares. A farmer at the counter muttered loud, Guess some folks can't take a hint. Another laughed. Maybe if he'd quit playing soldier on land that ain't his, people wouldn't be so riled. Isaiah ignored them, sliding into a booth. Malik looked down at the table, shoulders hunched. The waitress came over, eyes darting nervously. You all want the usual. Isaiah nodded. Yet 2 plates, extra eggs. When she walked off, Malik whispered, They don't want us here. Isaiah's eyes stayed on the men at the counter. They don't decide where we belong. But inside, he felt the familiar weight, that old battlefield pressure where the enemy circled unseen, waiting for the right time to strike. That night, Malik woke screaming. Isaiah rushed in, found the boy tangled in sheets, sobbing. I saw the fire again. Malik gasped. I saw the truck lights. They were coming back. Isaiah sat on the edge of the bed, steady hand on the boy's shoulder. Listen to me. They want you scared. That's how they win. But you don't break, Malik. You don't ever break. Tears streamed down the boy's face. But what if they kill you? The question cut deeper than any wound. Isaiah's voice caught in his throat before he forced it out, calm and steady. They ain't gonna kill me. Not while I still stand. And I always stand. Malik nodded weakly, burying his face against Isaiah's chest. Isaiah sat there long after the boy drifted back to sleep, staring out the darkened window. Smoke smell still lingered on the breeze. His hands curled into fists. The land was his. The blood was his. The fight was his. The fight was his, and he knew this was only the beginning. The sun burned high when the sheriff's cruiser eased up Isaiah's dirt road. Dust swirled, settling heavy on the porch where Isaiah sat sharpening a hoe. Malik was in the barn stacking feed. The cruiser door opened. Sheriff Harlan stepped out slow, boots pressing into Isaiah's soil like it belonged to him. He carried himself like a man certain no one would tell him otherwise. Deputy Ross leaned against the hood, chewing on a toothpick, watching with lazy amusement. "Morning, Cole," Harlan called. Voice smooth as honey left too long in the sun. Isaiah set the hoe aside. "You're not welcome on my land without cause." Harlan's smile widened. "Cause, neighborly check-ins all. Man can't say hello anymore." Isaiah's jaw flexed. "You came to say something. Say it." The sheriff tipped his hat back, taking in the barn, the fields, the sweat that had built all of it. Land's looking good. Almost too good. Word around town is, you're buying more. Folks feel uneasy. Change rattles people. Isaiah's voice was flat. "Their unease ain't my problem." Harlan chuckled. "Maybe not, but it becomes your problem when unease turns into action. Like last night." His eyes flicked toward the scorched marks on the barn wall. Isaiah's tone sharpened. "Your men were here. You called it vandalism." The sheriff's gaze locked onto his, steel under the smile. "And I stand by it. No suspects, no leads, just kids playing rough. But if it wasn't," he paused, "well, then you've got bigger enemies than you realize." Isaiah rose from the porch, shoulders squared. "Say what you came to say, Harlan." Harlan's voice dropped calm and venomous. "Sell. Take the money. Move your family somewhere quieter. Somewhere you won't stir up hornets. Do that, and trouble fades. Stay. And it multiplies." Malik's voice cut from the barn door. "We ain't selling." Isaiah turned sharply. Back inside Malik. The boy froze but obeyed, retreating with reluctant steps. Harlan's smile deepened, like a cat watching a trapped mouse. Bold words from a boy. Brave, shame, bravery, don't stop bullets. Isaiah's eyes darkened. "You threatening a child now?" The sheriff raised his hands innocently, just pointing out how accidents happen. Farm life's dangerous. Fires, machinery, men who drink too much and drive fast down country roads. He let the words hang, heavy and poisonous. Isaiah's fists tightened at his sides. "You don't scare me." Harlan studied him, the smile never leaving. "You've been a soldier, sure, but soldiers without armies are just stubborn farmers, and stubborn farmers get swallowed." Ross spit his toothpick onto the dirt. "Man don't even know how deep he's in it." Isaiah stepped forward until the air between them was tight. His voice was low, dangerous. "I've faced worse than you in places your kind wouldn't last an hour. Don't mistake my quiet for fear, for a flicker." Harlan's eyes hardened, the smile slipping to reveal the contempt beneath. Then he turned back to the cruiser. "Think on what I said, Cole. Nobody in this county gonna help you when the tide turns, and it's already turning." The engine roared as they pulled away, leaving Isaiah standing in the dust, chest rising and falling like a war drum. That evening, Isaiah's sister Ruth arrived, face lined with worry. She sat at the kitchen table, Malik at her side. "You can't keep fighting them, Isaiah," she said, voice trembling. "They'll break you. They'll break all of us." Isaiah's hands pressed flat on the table. "This land's ours. Daddy worked it, I worked it, and I'll be damned if I give it up because a coward in a badge wants it." Ruth's eyes glistened. "Coward or not, he's got power. You think the town'll side with you over the sheriff? They never have," Malik whispered. "Uncle won't let them win." Isaiah's eyes softened at the boy. "That's right." Then he looked back at Ruth, voice like stone. "If we walk now, they own us forever. Every time they want something, they'll come knocking. I won't teach this boy to bow." Ruth shook her head, tears slipping. "You always were too proud. Pride gets men killed." Isaiah leaned back, jaw tight. "So does surrender." The room fell silent except for the ticking clock. Outside, the cicadas screamed again, the same song they had sung the night before the fire. Ruth finally rose, pulling Malik close before leaving. At the door she turned, her face drawn with fear. "Just be careful, Isaiah. I don't want to bury my brother." The screen door slammed shut, leaving Isaiah alone with the weight of her words. He stared at the fields through the window, the soil dark against the fading light. The sheriff's smile lingered in his mind like the aftertaste of poison. The morning broke heavy, clouds bruised purple over the horizon. Isaiah Cole was in the far field, hoe-biting into stubborn ground, when the sound reached him. Engines, not one, not two, several, growling like a pack of dogs. He straightened slowly, sweat dripping down his temple. Dust rose on the road. Trucks 3, then 4. Malik's small figure darted out of the barn. Uncle, his voice carried panic. Isaiah lifted a hand. Stay inside. But the trucks didn't slow. They rolled into his field, tires crushing rows of seedlings. Men jumped out, faces familiar even behind bandanas, their laughter sharp as knives. Baseball bats, chains, one with a crowbar. Isaiah gripped the hoe handle tight. Morning, Cole. One called, heard you needed help with your crops. Laughter. Isaiah set his feet. Leave my land. Another man spat. Your land. You think dirt like this belongs to you. They spread, circling. Malik's scream echoed from the porch. Leave him alone. A bat-wielding man sneered. Shut that brat up. Isaiah's voice cut like steel. Touch him, and you answer to me. They didn't hesitate. The first swing came fast. Isaiah blocked with the HOA, wood cracking under the blow. He shoved back hard, landing a strike to the man's ribs. Another rushed in, chain whipping. It wrapped Isaiah's arm, biting skin. Pain flared. Hold him. Someone shouted. Fists and boots landed, driving Isaiah to his knees. The hose splintered from his grip. He tasted blood. Malik screamed louder. Stop. Somebody help. From the road, curtains in neighboring houses twitched. A dog barked. But no one stepped forward. No one crossed the fence. Isaiah gasped against the blows raining down. Cowards, all of you. The leader leaned close, breath stinking of tobacco. Sell the farm, Cole, or next time, we don't stop. His boot slammed into Isaiah's chest, sending him sprawling. Someone tossed a can. Fire whooshed up in a row of dry grass, flames licking the edges of the field. Isaiah crawled, coughing through smoke. Malik's small hands tugged at his shoulders, desperate. Uncle, get up, please. The men laughed, piling back into their trucks. Tires tore the soil as they sped off, leaving fire, blood, and silence in their wake. Isaiah lay in the dirt, chest heaving, body aching with bruises. Smoke stung his eyes. Malik knelt beside him, sobbing. I called 911. The boy choked. I called. Nobody came. Isaiah dragged in air, bitter and sharp. They won't. He forced himself upright, every muscle screaming. The flames had spread, eating the edges of his field. With Malik's help, he staggered to the water pump, dousing the blaze with ragged determination. By the time the fire was out, Isaiah collapsed against the fence post, face streaked with ash and blood. Neighbors stood in the distance now, just beyond the fence line, silent, watching, not a hand raised, not a word spoken. Their eyes slid away when Isaiah met them. He spat blood onto the dirt. That's right, look away. Pretend you don't see. His voice rasped, fury mixing with despair. At dusk, the sirens came not to help, but to document. Sheriff Harlan's cruiser rolled slow into the yard, lights spinning red against the smoke-stained sky. Ross followed, smirking as usual. Harlan stepped out, surveying Isaiah's battered body, the scorched soil. Heard you had yourself an accident. Isaiah forced himself upright, leaning heavy on the fence. You know damn well what this was. Ross chuckled. See anybody do it? Got names? Plates? Isaiah's silence was answer enough. Harlan's smile never wavered. Without witnesses, there's nothing to report. Write it up as trespassing and property damage. Insurance'll cover the rest. Isaiah's laugh was hollow, bitter. Insurance don't cover blood in the dirt. The sheriff tilted his head. Careful how you talk, Cole. You pushed too hard. You'll regret it. Malik shouted from the porch, voice cracking. You're supposed to protect us. Why won't you do your job? Ross barked a laugh. Harlan only tipped his hat. Boys like me got jobs. Boys like you got places. Maybe one day you'll understand the difference. Isaiah's voice was low, steady, dangerous. I understand plenty, and I'll remember. The sheriff studied him for a long beat, the smile still painted across his face. Then he turned, climbed back into the cruiser, and left. Dust rose behind them, settling slow over Isaiah's wounds. That night, Isaiah sat at the kitchen table, shirt peeled back to reveal bruises spreading dark across his ribs. Malik cleaned them with shaking hands, trying to be gentle. Uncle, what if they come back? What if they kill you next time? Isaiah's eyes stared through the window, into the dark field beyond. If they come back, they'll find I ain't alone. Malik blinked. But we are alone. Nobody helps us. Isaiah's voice dropped to a whisper. But his words carried iron. There are men who've stood with me in worse places than this. Men who don't break. Men who don't run. He reached for the old phone on the counter. His fingers hovered over the numbers, hesitation flickering only for a moment. Then he pressed dot. The line rang. Each buzz heavy as a heartbeat. A voice answered on the other end, familiar, rough, alive with recognition. Isaiah, been years. What's going on, brother? Isaiah closed his eyes, blood still on his lips. I need you. It's time. The hospital room hummed with fluorescent light, its walls pale and sterile against the raw bruises covering Isaiah Cole's body. Bandages wrapped his ribs, his knuckles, the gash above his eye. Every breath stabbed, but his eyes were alive, sharp with something harder than pain. Malik sat at the foot of the bed, silent, fists balled tight in his lap. Ruth paced by the window, muttering prayers under her breath. A nurse adjusted the four and left quickly, gaze avoiding Isaiah's. In this town, even care came with silence. Ruth broke first. You can't keep this up. They'll kill you next time. Don't you see that? Isaiah's reply was gravel. They already tried. She shook her head. And they'll try again. You think the sheriff's gonna save you? You saw his face. You saw how he smiled. Isaiah pushed himself upright, wincing as fire lanced his ribs. I'm done waiting on the sheriff. I've got brothers who don't wear badges, brothers who don't run. He reached for the hospital phone. The cord stretched taut as his fingers dialed, slow but certain. Malik watched, wide-eyed. The line clicked. A deep voice answered, cautious. Cole. Isaiah's chest rose, steady despite the pain. Logan, it's time. A pause, then, low and fierce. What happened? Isaiah's voice stayed even, though rage simmered beneath. Local boys, sheriff's boys, burned my field, broke my bones, tried to break more than that. Town's watching it happen like it's a show. The voice hardened. Say the word, I'll be there. Isaiah closed his eyes briefly. Not just you. Call the others. Tell them I need them. On the other end, Logan's chuckle was grim. Damn right. Thought I'd never hear you ask. Been too long since we had a fight worth fighting. The line clicked dead. Isaiah set the receiver down gently, though his hand trembled. Hours later, as night fell, the phone rang again. Ruth snatched it up, wary. Isaiah gestured. Give it here. He pressed it to his ear. Another voice, this time, calm but edged with steel. Isaiah, heard you got yourself in trouble. Marcus, Isaiah said, lips curving faintly, didn't expect you to pick up. You call, I answer. You know that. Isaiah breathed deep. It's bad here. Sheriff's in it. Whole town's in it. They won't stop till they bury me. Marcus's voice lowered. Then they'll have to go through all of us first. The line went dead again. The third call came just before dawn. A woman's voice, this time steady, clipped, but warm beneath the steel. Isaiah, I heard. Isaiah's throat tightened. Lena, don't you worry, she said. We didn't leave you behind overseas, and we ain't leaving you now. I'll drive. 20 hours, maybe less. Don't you quit before I get there. For the first time since the attack, Isaiah smiled. Wouldn't dream of it. Ruth stood in the doorway, arms folded tight. You're bringing war to this farm. Isaiah met her gaze. War already came. I'm just calling soldiers. Her voice cracked. And what if soldiers don't fix it? What if it just gets worse? He looked down at Malik, who hadn't spoken since the call. Then at least this boy sees a man stand. Malik finally lifted his head. His voice was small but steady. Uncle, will they really come? Isaiah's hand rested heavy on his shoulder. They already on their way. Later that morning, Sheriff Harlan himself appeared at the hospital. His boots clicked sharp against the tile. The nurses glanced away, vanishing into side halls. Isaiah sat propped in bed, every inch of him aching, but his eyes burned with defiance. Harlan smiled, easy, polite. Heard you had another accident. Isaiah didn't move. You call that an accident? Harlan leaned on the bedrail, voice low. I call it a warning, and I call this visit a courtesy. Isaiah stared him down. You came to see if I'd break. The sheriff's grin widened. You've already broken, just a matter of when you admit it. Isaiah's voice was ice. I don't break. Harlan studied him a moment longer, then leaned close enough that Isaiah felt his breath. You'll wish you had. He straightened, tipped his hat, and walked out, leaving silence heavy in his wake. Malik emerged from the corner, face pale. Uncle, what if he's right? Isaiah's eyes stayed on the doorway. Then let him come and see. That night, Isaiah sat in darkness, the glow of the hospital parking lot bleeding through the blinds. His body hurt, his mind sharper than it had been in years. He remembered desert heat, gunfire cracking, Voices of his squad in the radio. Men who had his back when the world burned. Men who never let him fall. And now, they were coming. Isaiah's lips moved in a whisper. Not prayer, but promise. This soil's got blood in it already. If they want more, they'll choke on it. The first truck rolled up Isaiah's dirt road at sunrise. Its engine rumbled deep, steady, the kind of sound that made Malik run to the porch, heart thudding. A tall figure climbed out, broad shoulders, beard flecked with gray. He wore oil-stained jeans and carried a duffel bag slung over one arm. "Uncle," Malik whispered. "Who's that?" Isaiah stepped onto the porch, bruises still stiff on his face. His lips curved faintly. "Logan." The man strode forward, clasped Isaiah's hand in a grip that crushed bone. Their foreheads almost touched. "Brother," Logan rumbled. "Heard you got some pests." Isaiah's voice was low, steady. "More than pests. Parasites." Logan grinned without humor. "Good. Been a while since I scraped boots by noon." Another vehicle pulled in, a battered pickup with a tool chest rattling in the back. A wiry man hopped out, hair cropped short, eyes sharp as knives. "Isaiah," he called. "Still getting into trouble without me." Isaiah chuckled rough. "Marcus, figured you'd talk my ear off before your feet hit dirt." Marcus smirked. "What can I say? A man's got stories." He pulled the folded rifle case from the truck bed, set it gently against the porch. "Thought you might need this." Isaiah's eyes flickered, dark but grateful. "Didn't think you'd bring it." Marcus's grin widened. "Didn't think you'd ask." By late afternoon, a black sedan eased up the road. Out stepped Lena, tall, sharp-eyed, her stride clipped, efficient. She carried nothing but a small pack and a look that froze Malik in awe. "Isaiah," she said simply. "Lena," Isaiah replied. They embraced briefly, hard and unspoken. Her gaze swept the fields, the barn, the scars of fire still visible. Her jaw tightened. They touched your land. Isaiah nodded once. Her voice was flat. "Then they're already dead." The last to arrive was James Broad, and slow-moving the medic of old. He drove an old 18-wheeler cab, parking it awkwardly in the drive. He climbed out, eyes tired but warm. "Couldn't stay away," James said. "Not after the call." Isaiah's voice softened. "Didn't think you'd leave your family." James shook his head. "They told me to go. They remember the man you saved." Isaiah said, "I owed you." They were right. That evening, the five of them sat around Isaiah's kitchen table. The air was thick, heavy with memories. Malik stared wide-eyed, listening. Logan leaned back, arms crossed. "So, sheriff's in on it." Isaiah nodded. "He's smiling while they burn me down. Told me straight. Sell or be buried." Marcus spat on the floorboards. "Sounds like a man begging to be exposed." Lena's tone cut clean. "Not just exposed, broken. Men like that, you don't leave them standing. They grow back." James folded his hands. "Before we talk vengeance, we need a plan. We've got Isaiah's nephew here. He's a child. We protect him first." Malik sat up straighter. "I'm not scared." Logan's gaze softened briefly. "Doesn't matter if you are. You're still the one thing they'll use to hurt him. So you stick close to us. Boy." "Understood." Malik nodded firmly. Night settled. The squad walked the fields with Isaiah. Fire scars lined the earth, black against the crops that still stood. Silence pressed heavy. Marcus muttered. "Place feels like a graveyard." Isaiah's voice carried steel. "It's not. It's home. That's why I called you." Lena crouched, brushing the charred soil through her fingers. "Home deserves blood if that's what it takes." Logan chuckled low. "Careful. You're starting to sound like me." She didn't smile. Back at the road, headlights flared. A local farmer's truck slowed as it passed, driver's eyes narrowing at the sight of strangers gathered in Isaiah's yard. The truck rolled on, faster than before. Marcus shook his head. "Word's out already. Sheriff'll know you've got company by morning." Isaiah's gaze stayed on the fading lights. "Good, let him know. Let him sweat." Later, in the quiet kitchen, Isaiah sat apart from the group. Logan joined him, setting a bottle of cheap whiskey on the table. "Remember Afghanistan?" Logan asked, pouring 2 shots. Isaiah's lips curved faintly. "Which part, the sand or the blood?" "Both." Logan pushed a glass forward. "You remember how we walked out of that valley, half dead, because you wouldn't leave the wounded?" Isaiah's gaze darkened. "I remember." Logan's eyes met his. "This is the same fight. Different soil, same enemy. Men who think they own what they don't. Men who think fear rules." Isaiah raised the glass, voice low. "Then we remind them what real fear feels like." They drank in silence. In the barn, Marcus cleaned weapons, humming off-key. Malik watched, whispering questions. What's that one for? Marcus grinned. For making sure bullies don't get up again. Malik hesitated. Are you gonna kill them? Marcus paused, eyes narrowing at the boy. Depends. If they step back, they live. If they push, they fall. That's how it works. Malik swallowed. Uncle says we stand. He never says kill. Marcus ruffled his hair. That's 'cause your uncle still believes people can learn. Me, I believe people need lessons written in pain. James stood in the doorway, overhearing. His voice was gentle. Don't put weight like that on him, Marcus. Marcus shrugged. He asked. James knelt to Malik's eye level. Your uncle's right about one thing. Standing's what matters. You stand even when it's hard, even when nobody else does. That's what makes you a man, not how many fights you win. Malik nodded slowly, absorbing the words. By midnight, the squad spread out on the porch, silent, listening to the night sounds. Coyotes howled, distant. The wind carried whispers through the trees. Lena finally broke the silence. Tomorrow, we move first. No more waiting for them to come. We put the sheriff in his place. Isaiah's eyes stayed fixed on the fields. Tomorrow, he agreed. The squad exchanged glances, the unspoken bond humming between them. Veterans once more, gathered not by duty, but by loyalty. In the darkness, Malik curled on the couch, clutching a blanket. He watched them through heavy eyes, hearing every word. He thought of fire, of laughter in the dark, of his uncle's blood on the soil. And for the first time, he believed the men in this house could stop it. Morning broke with a tense quiet. The sky was pale, the fields still damp with dew. Inside Isaiah's farmhouse, the squad moved with a rhythm that felt both foreign and familiar. Soldiers once again. Logan stood at the window, arms crossed. They'll come soon. Men like that don't take kindly to outsiders. Isaiah strapped his boots, jaw tight. Then we'll be ready. Lena unpacked maps, spreading them across the kitchen table. This is more than farm bullies. Sheriffs covering their tracks. He owns the courthouse, the deputies, maybe even the paper. He's built a shield around himself. Marcus scoffed. Shields, crack. James's voice was calm, grounding. Not without witnesses. If we hit him and no one sees, it's his word against Isaiah's again. And we've already seen what his word means in this county. Malik leaned against the wall, eyes wide, absorbing every word. So, what do we do? Logan turned, voice flat. We smoke him out. We push until he makes a mistake big enough the world can't ignore. Isaiah studied the maps, finger tracing the road leading to town. He expects me to fold, to take the beating, and crawl away. Instead, I'll walk into town. Not quiet, not broken, standing. Lena's eyes narrowed. That's bait. Isaiah met her stare. Exactly. The plan formed sharp. Isaiah would go into town, head held high. The squad would scatter through the area, watching, recording, ensuring the sheriff's men exposed themselves. It wasn't about violence yet. It was about truth. Marcus loaded his rifle, sliding it back into its case. I'll take the rooftops near Main Street. If they twitch wrong, I'll see it. James frowned. You won't fire. Marcus shrugged. Depends on how wrong the twitch is. James's voice hardened. No, you want to help Isaiah. We keep this clean until we can't. Blood on the street gives the sheriff his story, not ours, Marcus muttered, but didn't argue further. Town smelled of dust and coffee when Isaiah arrived. His bruises hadn't faded yet, and that was the point. Malik walked beside him, chin high despite fear tightening his throat. Behind them, Logan strolled, casual, hands in pockets. Whispers rippled as they passed. Faces in windows, men leaning against shop fronts, a woman tugging her child closer. On Main Street, the sheriff stepped out from the diner. Big man, hat tilted low, smile sharp. Well, look who crawled out from the dirt, he drawled. Didn't learn your lesson, Pharma. Isaiah's voice carried clear. I don't crawl. The crowd stilled. Sheriff tipped his hat back, exposing cold eyes. You brought friends, I see. Thought maybe you could scare me with your little army. Isaiah didn't blink. No, I came to remind you this is my land, my name, my blood, and you can't burn that down. Logan's gaze swept the rooftops. He caught Marcus's silhouette, rifle at rest but ready. Lena's figure leaned against a storefront, phone discreetly recording. James stood by the church steps, quiet but present. The circle was drawn. The sheriff's smile thinned. You think anyone here's gonna back you? You think these folks care about your land, your pride? They don't. They want you gone. Same as me. Isaiah's answer was sharp. Then they'll have to say it to my face. A murmur ran through the crowd. Some averted eyes, others stared uneasy. Truth cracked silence. One of the sheriff's deputies stepped forward, hand brushing his holster. "Sheriff, we can take him in." Disturbing peace. Lena's voice rang out cold. "Touch that gun, and the whole county will see you for what you are." "I'm filming every second." The deputy froze, caught in the glare of her camera. Sheriff's jaw tightened. His smile faltered. Isaiah took a step closer. "Your game's ending, Sheriff. You've hidden long enough behind badges and torches. Not anymore." Later, back at the farmhouse, tension crackled. The confrontation hadn't exploded, but it had lit a fuse. Marcus paced. "Should have let me take the shot." Man had his hand on the gun. "Nobody would have blamed us." James countered firmly. "And then what?" "Sheriff paints us as violent outsiders." The headlines read, "Exiles terrorize small town. No Marcus. We let him hang himself." Logan's voice was gravel. "He's already rattled. Did you see his face? He's not used to being challenged. He'll lash out. That's when we take him." Isaiah sat silent. Malik curled against his side. His eyes burned with something deeper than rage. Patience sharpened into steel. Night deepened. The squad gathered around the porch. The cicadas loud in the trees. Lena spoke first. "We're close, but not done. The sheriff won't wait. He'll come harder, faster, meaner. We need allies." Isaiah's brows furrowed. "Who?" "Your neighbors," Lena replied. "The ones too afraid to speak. They're the key. If they stand, he falls." Marcus snorted. "Cowards don't stand." Lena's gaze cut to him. "Cowards can. If someone stands first." Isaiah's voice was low. "Then I'll go to them. Tomorrow. They'll hear it from me." Logan's lips curved faintly. "You're walking into fire again." Isaiah nodded. "Better me than them. If they see me bleed, maybe they'll remember they've bled too." Later, Isaiah stood in the barn alone, staring at the charred beams, the ashes still clinging to corners. His hand traced the blackened wood. Malik appeared quietly behind him. "Uncle," Isaiah turned, softened. "You should be sleeping." "I couldn't," Malik whispered. "I keep thinking, what if they come back? What if they burn it all again?" Isaiah knelt, gripping his nephew's shoulders. His voice was steady, unshakable. "Listen to me, Malik. Fire only wins when you run. We're not running. Not anymore." Malik's eyes shone. "But what if they hurt you again?" Isaiah's jaw tightened. "Then I get back up. Every time. That's how they lose." The boy pressed his face against Isaiah's chest. Silent, holding on. At midnight, headlights appeared on the ridge. A truck idled there, too far to see faces, too long to be coincidence. Marcus cursed under his breath. "They're watching." Logan's eyes narrowed. "Good, let them." Lena raised her phone, recording the glow in the distance. "Evidence," she said flatly. Isaiah stepped out into the yard, standing tall, bruises still visible in the moonlight. He stared at the truck until it finally turned and rolled away. He didn't move until the night was silent again. Inside, Logan muttered to Marcus, "Tomorrow's going to break wide open." Marcus cracked a grin. "Good. I'm tired of waiting." James's voice cut through, heavy with warning. "Be careful what you wish for." Dawn came heavy with storm clouds. The air smelled of rain, thick and metallic. Isaiah stood on his porch, boots laced, hat low. His eyes tracked the horizon like a soldier before battle. Logan joined him, mug of coffee steaming. "It's today," he said flat. "No question." Isaiah's jaw clenched. "Yes." He's cornered. Cornered men bite. By mid-morning, Isaiah and Lena walked to a neighbor's farm. An older couple, the Thompsons, met them at the gate. The woman's eyes darted nervously. The man's hands shook as he leaned on his cane. "We saw what they did," Mrs. Thompson whispered. "But we can't," Isaiah cut in. Voice sharp but steady. You already live in fear. What's worse, speaking or staying silent while they burn us all one by one?" Her eyes welled. She glanced at her husband. He nodded faintly. Lena raised her phone. "Testify. Say it here, not tomorrow. Now." Mrs. Thompson's voice trembled. "They came in the night. I saw the torches. Sheriff's men." Isaiah's hand squeezed hers. "That's enough. You're braver than you think." News traveled quick. By noon, Isaiah stood in 3 different kitchens, speaking the same words. "Your silence feeds him. Stand, and he falls." Some neighbors turned away. Others listened, hesitant, eyes filled with fear. One by one, a few agreed to speak, their stories raw, unvarnished. By late afternoon, Lena's phone held testimony after testimony. Fear cracked, replaced with a fragile defiance. But back at the farmhouse, Marcus was restless. pacing. Talk won't stop bullets. Sheriff's not gonna sit while you make speeches. He'll come for us tonight. James rubbed tired eyes. Then we keep people close. Keep the evidence safe. If we survive, this goes to the papers, the courts. He can't bury it all. Marcus slammed a fist against the wall. I didn't come here to play reporter. I came here to fight. Logan's voice was gravel. You'll get your fight. Don't rush it. Let him step wrong first. Let him give us the reason. Evening settled. Thunder rolled in the distance. The squad ate in silence, the air too heavy for talk. Malik sat at the table, hands fidgeting. Finally he blurted, "What if they kill you, Uncle?" Isaiah's gaze held his. "Then you tell the truth. You tell the world what happened. That's how we live forever." Malik's throat tightened, but he nodded. Swallowing fear into resolve, headlights cut through the dark. More than one truck this time. Engines growled closer, circling the property like wolves. Marcus darted to the window. Showtime. Isaiah rose, slow and calm. "Stay inside, Malik." But Malik grabbed his arm. "No, I won't hide." Isaiah's eyes softened, then hardened again. "Then stay behind me. Whatever happens, you don't move." The trucks stopped at the edge of the field. Doors slammed. Figures emerged, a dozen men, some masked, others barefaced, brazen. At the front, Sheriff walked with that same crooked smile. "Well, Farmer," he called, voice loud over the engines. "Seems you forgot your place. Thought maybe you could stir folks up. Thought maybe you could shame me." Isaiah stepped forward, bruises still visible, shoulders squared. "You already shamed yourself." The sheriff's smile faltered. Then he sneered. "Torch it," he ordered. Men moved, carrying jugs of gasoline, rags stuffed in bottles. "Stop." Lena's voice cut sharp. She stepped forward, phone raised. "Recording. Every second of this goes live. Every face. Every word." The men hesitated, looking at one another. Fear flickered. Sheriff growled. "She's bluffing." "Smash it." One man lunged. But Logan was faster, stepping out of the shadows, shotgun cocked loud. "Try it." The squad revealed themselves one by one. Marcus on the roof with his rifle. James by the barn with a bat in hand. The veterans moved like a wall, unshaken. The mob faltered. Sheriff's face twisted. "You think you scare me. You think you scare them." He jabbed a finger at the crowd of men. "Do it. Burn it." Nobody moved. Isaiah's voice thundered. "You burn it. The world sees. You torch my land, and tomorrow your names are in every paper from here to Washington. You'll be remembered not as men, but as cowards hiding behind fire." Silence pressed heavy. Sheriff's hand went to his gun. Marcus hissed from the roof. "Don't." Lena zoomed in with her phone. "Do it, Sheriff. Show them all." The sheriff froze, caught in his own trap. Rain broke then, sudden, pouring hard. Torches sputtered out. Gasoline spilled useless into mud. Isaiah stepped closer, rain soaking his shirt, eyes locked on the sheriff. "It's over. Go home." The sheriff's lip curled, fury boiling under his skin. But his men wavered, eyes shifting, loyalty cracking. One by one, they began backing away, retreating toward their trucks. Only the sheriff stood rigid, rain streaming down his face. Isaiah's voice was low, final. "You don't own this land. You don't own us. And you don't own fear anymore." The sheriff spat, turned, and stomped back to his truck. Engines roared, tires spun mud, and just like that, the night emptied. Inside, the squad gathered, dripping wet, hearts still pounding. Marcus cursed. Could have ended him right there. James shook his head. "No, tonight, he lost. He just doesn't know it yet." Logan's voice rumbled. "He'll come back, alone or with fewer men, but he'll come. Men like that can't swallow defeat." Isaiah sat heavily. Malik pressed against him. His voice was quiet, but steel-edged every word. "Then we'll be ready. And this time, the whole county will see." Malik lay awake long after, listening to the storm fade. He thought of fire, of guns, of men breaking under rain. He thought of his uncle's words, and for the first time, he wasn't afraid of the sheriff. The storm passed, leaving the air heavy and still. Mud clung to boots, and the smell of gasoline lingered in the soil. Morning light crept through broken clouds as Isaiah stepped onto his porch. He didn't need to say it. Everyone knew. The fight wasn't done. Inside, Lena replayed the footage she'd captured. The sheriff's orders, the men with torches, the hesitation, the retreat. Every word, every face, clear in the rain-washed night. "This is enough," she said flat. "We release it now." Marcus leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "Send it where?" Sheriff controls the paper, the radio, The courthouse. You put it out here, he buries it before it spreads. Lena didn't blink. I've got channels, national outlets, online boards, places he can't touch. Once it's out, it's fire. He won't smother it. James rubbed his temples. It'll make him desperate. When he realizes the whole country's watching, he'll stop hiding. He'll come with everything he's got. Logan's voice was steady, graveled deep. Good. That's when we break him. Isaiah's gaze never left the screen. His bruised face reflected faintly in the glass. Do it. By noon, the video was live. Within hours, it spread further than Isaiah had imagined. Headlines flashed across phones. Sheriff orders attack on Black Pharma. Screens lit up in diners, in gas stations, in houses across the county. Some ignored it, some scoffed, but others whispered, louder now, and some nodded grimly, knowing the truth they'd hidden was finally naked for all to see. At the station, Sheriff watched the footage loop on his deputy's phone. His face went red, jaw clenched hard. Who leaked this? He snarled. The deputy stammered. Sir, it's everywhere. Can't stop it. People are sharing. Sheriff slammed his fist on the desk. Get me every man we've got. Tonight, we end this. Back at the farmhouse, Isaiah spoke to his neighbors, who'd come quietly, drawn by the storm of news. The Thompsons, young Miguel from the South Lot, old Mrs. Jenkins. They sat stiff around the table, shame and fear still clinging, but something else, burning underneath. Mrs. Jenkins's voice shook. I never thought anyone would stand. We've lived like this too long, afraid to speak, afraid to breathe. Isaiah's voice was steady. Fear only works until somebody says no. You've seen what happens when we stand. He cracks. You don't have to be soldiers. Just tell the truth. Miguel's fists clenched. He burned my shed last year. Said it was an accident. I knew it wasn't. But what could I do? Isaiah looked him in the eye. You speak now. Speak, and you're not alone anymore. The room was silent. Then, one by one, they nodded. Evening fell, but tension grew sharper, not softer. Marcus polished his rifle, restless. Logan cleaned his shotgun, slow, deliberate. Lena typed furiously, sending footage to more outlets, layering protection so it couldn't be erased. James checked the medical kit. Quiet. They're coming. You can feel it. Isaiah stood by the door, watching the fields darken. Then let them. Malik tugged his sleeve. Uncle, what if they try to kill you again? Isaiah knelt, eyes locking with the boys. Then you watch. You watch what happens when truth meets men who hide behind fire. That's how you'll know what to do when I'm gone. Malik's lip trembled, but he nodded. Night came. Trucks again, but fewer than before. Engines low, cautious. The sheriff's men weren't laughing now. They came in silence, headlights off, trying to slip through the dark. Marcus's whisper from the rooftop cut sharp. 3 trucks, 10 men, sheriffs with them. Logan checked the yard. Cowards creeping, means they're scared. Isaiah stepped onto the porch, shotgun slung but not raised. His voice carried across the yard. You think the dark hides you. The whole world's watching. You don't scare me anymore. The men froze, uneasy. Sheriff stepped forward, face twisted with rage. You think a damn video changes anything? These people still live here. They still answer to me. Isaiah's tone was low, thunder under his breath. Not anymore. Lena's phone light glowed faintly, aimed at him. Smile, Sheriff. Every word still streams. The sheriff's eyes darted, panic flickering before he forced his sneer back. You won't win, even if they see it, even if they talk. This is my county. My law. Isaiah's answer was calm, final. Not law, just fear. And fear's breaking tonight. The men behind the sheriff wavered again. One dropped his torch into the mud. Another muttered, "This ain't worth jail." The sheriff spun on them, spitting fury. Cowards, you walk, you're finished. But more stepped back, peeling away, climbing into their trucks. Engines started, taillights flared red against the field. The sheriff turned back, alone, but for 2 loyalists. His hand hovered near his gun. Logan's shotgun clicked loud in the silence. Marcus's rifle, trained from above. Lena's phone never wavered. James's voice carried, steady, almost gentle. Don't do it. You're already finished. Don't make it your grave too. Sheriff's chest heaved. His eyes burned with hate, but his hand froze. Isaiah stepped closer. Rain from yesterday's storm still slick in the dirt beneath their boots. His voice cut clean. It's over. The sheriff snarled, backing slowly toward his truck. This ain't over, he spat. You'll regret. Isaiah cut him off. No, you'll regret. And every man, every woman who lived in your shadow will finally breathe again. The sheriff slammed his door, tires spitting mud as he tore away into the night. Silence fell heavy. The fields were dark again, save for the farmhouse light. Logan exhaled slow. He's finished. Doesn't know it yet, but he is. Marcus lowered his rifle reluctantly. Should have been tonight. Could have been clean. James shook his head. This way's cleaner. No blood, no lies he can spin. Just truth, and truth spreads faster than fire. Isaiah stood tall on the porch, Malik at his side, neighbors behind him. His voice was low, but the words cut deep. We're not afraid anymore. In town the next morning, whispers turned to open talk. The footage spread further, news vans rolled in, questions filled the air, deputies resigned, old accusations surfaced. The sheriff's name, once heavy with power, turned to rot in mouths that spoke it, and Isaiah walked Main Street, bruises still visible, but head unbowed. The eyes that met his now held something new, not pity, not fear, respect. The sheriff's house stood on the edge of town, whence a fortress of power, white paint peeled in strips, the porch sagged, and the blinds were pulled tight though it was noon. Inside, the sheriff sat slumped, a half-empty bottle on the table. His phone buzzed with messages he didn't open. His badge lay in the dust near his boots, forgotten. Outside, the world no longer bent to his will. Deputies resigned, townsfolk spoke without fear, and his name stained headlines coast to coast. His empire crumbled not with bullets, but with silence, the silence of people no longer obeying. At the farm, Isaiah stood with his people. The fields still bore scars of burned grass and broken soil, but they stood green too, stubborn, alive. Marcus leaned on his rifle, grinning faint. Ain't seen Main Street like that in my life. Folks, looking the man in the eye instead of the ground. Logan's voice rumbled like stone. Power shifts quiet. One day it's a shadow on your back. Next day it's just a man alone in a chair. James wiped his hands on a rag, face weary but lighter. The law will eat him now. He can't hide from the flood. Every witness, every record, it's coming for him. Lena closed her laptop with a snap. It's already done. Papers filed, indictments drafted. His fire won't burn anyone else. Malik stood nearby, eyes wide, absorbing every word. So it's over. Isaiah looked down at him, voice steady. It's never over, but we've broken the fear. That's the root. Without it, nothing grows for him. Days passed. Reporters swarmed. Trucks no longer prowled the nights. The sheriff was stripped of his badge, dragged into court under cameras that caught every flicker of his rage. Witnesses testified. Old stories surfaced. Barns burned. Threats whispered. Bribes taken. Men who once stood at his side now spoke against him, desperate to cut themselves free. Isaiah sat in the back row of the courtroom, silent, Malik beside him, small hand gripping his larger one. When the verdict came, it was swift. Guilty. The sheriff didn't look at Isaiah as they led him away in chains, but Isaiah looked at him, steady, unblinking. The way you look at a storm finally spent. That night, the town gathered on Isaiah's land, not in fear, not in secret, but open. Lanterns hung from posts, food laid on long tables, laughter cracked like thunder against the dark sky. Old Mrs. Jenkins spoke with a voice unshaken. All these years, we've been thought the chains were welded, but they were only rope, and rope snaps. Miguel raised a cup, to standing, to breathing free. The people cheered, voices rolling across the field. Marcus slapped Isaiah's shoulder. Never thought I'd see the day. You tore his teeth out without firing a shot. Isaiah shook his head. Not me, us. He built his power on silence. You broke it by speaking. Logan chuckled low. Still, took your backbone to spark it. Don't sell yourself short. Lena raised her glass too. He's right. Truth spreads, but only if someone lights the first flame. Isaiah's eyes softened. Then, let it burn brighter than any fire he tried to set. Later, when the crowd thinned, Isaiah walked the fields alone. The night was cool, stars sharp above. He knelt, touched the soil scarred by flames. Malik's footsteps approached. Uncle, Isaiah didn't turn. These scars won't vanish. They stay, remind us of what we survived. But see, he pointed to the green shoots rising stubborn through the blackened earth. Life grows anyway. Malik crouched beside him, staring at the tiny stalks. Like us. Isaiah's voice was low, certain, exactly like us. Morning came with a soft dawn. No smoke in the air, no engines growling in the dark. Just the sound of birds over fields waking to light. Isaiah stood on his porch, watching the horizon. His body bore bruises, his land bore scars, but his spirit stood unbowed. The sheriff's reign was ash. Fear was broken. Behind him, voices stirred. Neighbors planning, children laughing, friends rebuilding. The house felt fuller, the land wider. Isaiah whispered to the wind, a vow not for others but for himself. No more chains, not for me, not for him, not for anyone who walks this soil. The wind carried it across the fields. The sheriff rotted in a cell. Names spat with contempt. Isaiah's farm stood tall, bruised but alive. And the people, once bowed, now walked straighter. Their voices no longer whispers but thunder. Justice hadn't come clean. It came scarred, messy, fought for with sweat and blood and fire. But it came. And when Malik told his children years later of the nights of fear, the torches in the dark, and the man who stood unbroken, he didn't tell it as a story of survival. He told it as the night the town was reborn. Isaiah stood at the center of it all, not as hero, not as martyr, but as proof. When fear breaks, dawn follows, always. Word count, chapter 10, 1332.